But I have a few points which I have picked up over the years, and I think I can add somewhat to this already brilliant session. So as already told, I think there are 5 techniques of putting the pedicle screws. There is a freehand technique, also some people refer to as the funneling technique. There is a fluoroscopic guided technique. If you use it exclusively fluoroscopically guided, it becomes like a MIS way, percutaneous, and that you can put as a separate point also. But what I would be focusing in this talk is the freehand technique, the laminoforaminotomy technique, and the extrapedicular technique. So we come to the freehand technique first, which I would say not exactly freehand, I would say fluoroscopically assisted. Okay, so when I was a resident, I was taught that when you expose your thoracic spine, you see the spinous processes in the center, and when you go on the sides, there will be like a valley with a hill, with beginning of a hill. Now as you go on every level, there is a beginning of a hill. I know this is a 2-dimensional image, but for the residents here, as you come up here towards the upper part of the lamina, you will feel that there's something is going up. And what is this something going up is the transverse process. In usual surgeries, probably at this level it is seen very well. And when you see something, a road going up or the bone going up, that is a small valley here, and that is a junction of your lamina, and this bone up, something which is going up, is your transverse process. Now if you are doing a regular surgery and you are just doing a laminectomy for something intradural procedure, this exposure, just seeing this upside is enough. But if you are doing more a fixation or a pedicle screw fixation, you need to go more lateral than this, and as seen in this exposure here, you may have to expose a fairly at least 3/4 part of this transverse process, and maybe sometimes more if the other exposures are required, as you can well understand now. Now this is very important, and already previous speakers have highlighted. I need not go into more detail at this point. At this level, it is very much clear. You know, this is the inferior part of the upper lamina. In fact, this is your inferior facet of the upper vertebra. And this part of the bone, which is seen here with the arrow pointing, is the superior facet. And what we exactly need to find out, if there is one point we need to find out, that is the junction of the lateral border of the superior articular process with the transverse process, which is the road which is going up there. And if you see this junction, we have already covered a good distance. So once we reach this point, and I know we have discussed about 2-3 ways and how the entry point varies from the upper thoracic spine, middle thoracic spine, and lower thoracic spine, but I will not confuse you with that. I'll just stay fixed with a single entry point and play with it. So this is the single entry point which I am telling you. This is just 2 to 3 millimeters, or let's say just caudal to the junction of the lateral border of the superior articular process and the junction with the transverse process. Just this is my drilling. This is my initial entry point, which is marked by a star here, and we start the drilling here just to see a wide drilling here so that we see some cancellous bone. Some people say you can easily identify the cancellous bone on the pedicle, but in my opinion it's not that easy. The next very important thing is to use this. This is an instrument, all of you may call it by different names. Some people call it a gear shift probe. At NIMHANS we used to call it the awl. I know technically awl is a different instrument. We used to call it the awl, gear shift probe, pedicle probe. So whatever the name is, I'll show you that probe a little more detail in a few slides from now. Now next step is to get this gear shift probe inside, and then how you use this gear shift probe. Let's discuss about this gear shift probe in a little more detail. So what you're going to describe is a Lenkes gear shift probe, exactly made for the thoracic spine. I think all of us know who Lawrence Lanke is. Now to tell you the exact dimensions of this probe, it's a 2 millimeter blunt tip. Every word is important here. It's a blunt tip probe. There's a very slight curvature, as you can see, very slight curvature throughout. The length from this point to this point is roughly 35 millimeters, 3.5 centimeters. And you would say a pedicle would be approximately 15 to 20 millimeters. Now it has in this case it has a rectangular edge, but it can have a round edge also. And overall, if you use it well, it will make a track or a pathway which has a total diameter of around 4 millimeters, as shown in this way. Now, why is there a curve here? How to use this instrument well? I think there's something we need to understand as the young residents and young consultants. We need to understand this very well. Now, why is there a curve here? Now, I'll go back to this slide here. Now, I think one of our presenters discussed this. I'll describe it in much more detail. Now, this curve, when you begin your gear shift probing, remember it's all about the feel. What feel you are getting? You should get a good feel. You know what is the feeling of the bone. You should not. There should be no jerky movement. There should be a smooth movement inside the pedicle. Now, what is the role of this curve? When you try to enter the pedicle here, try to use that curve, the tip of the curve should be directed laterally. When you have gone around 10-15 millimeters, you think you have almost crossed the pedicle. That is that point of time that you turn the probe little medially and then you go further inside the body. So that is the importance of this curve here. Now you can very well use a straight probe. It's very well, it's good. In fact, I would prefer the straight probe. But when you use a slightly curved, and sometimes you see in your set, in the companies that provide sets, there is even more curved probes available. Now, one of the uses is that not in thoracic spine, I would say not commonly in thoracic spine. Sometimes our exposure is limited by the amount of retraction that we have, and we are not able to get a mediolateral angle with a straight probe. So to facilitate that mediolateral angle commonly happens at L5, because especially in young males where the muscles are very taut and you're doing an open exposure, you don't get a good medial angulation. So for that, the curve in this probe helps you to achieve that. And number two, sometimes when you have to revise a pedicle screw, if you have made a false track, that is another advantage when you use the curved probe. So this is a very important instrument. And another small technical point which I can tell you here is how to hold this probe. Now, as all of us are fans of cricket in India, and we know when we hold the bat, there is a role of a bottom hand and there's a top hand. Similarly, when we hold this pedicle probe, we have a bottom hand and a top hand. If you're for a right-handed surgeon, usually the bottom hand is your left hand, and the role of the left hand is to give you direction, is to give that pedicle probe direction and stabilize it. You give it direction and you stabilize the probe by your left hand. The right hand is mainly for giving the force, and the second thing of the right hand is the feeling. The main feeling, how the feeling that you get comes from the right hand. So the bottom hand or your left hand for a right-hand surgeon gives you stability and gives the direction to the probe, whereas your right hand gives the power and feeling. The feeling should be a smooth feeling, there should not be jerk. The next step obviously is your ballpoint probe, and all of us know what a ballpoint probe is, and you need to confirm 5 walls with this ballpoint probe. That is, first of all, you should feel bone at the depth, you should feel wall in the lateral, medial, superior, inferior. All the walls should be properly felt, and always ask your assistant. It will not only give you confirmation but also give them experience. So that's about how to use this pedicle probe. It's a very important instrument, and preferably you should have your own pedicle probe or a gear shift probe. Now, this is a summary, and all of this has already been discussed. I told you only one standard entry point, which is this. We have already discussed that. Now, the sagittal angulation and the axial angulation. Again, to simplify things, let's go just perpendicular. If this is the curve of your thoracic spine, at every level, we are just perpendicular. And on T1 to T2, we are more than 30 degrees axial angle, and it is less than 20 degrees from T3 to T12. Of course, you have to confirm it radiologically, and that part also has been covered, so I will not go into detail. I will just tell you one point regarding radiological thing, and I'll just in the next couple of slides. And these are the 2 standard ways of putting the screws. This is an anatomical way. This is the straightforward trajectory. Already this has been covered, so I will not go into the detail. And straightforward trajectory, which goes parallel to the superior end plate, is always is technically better because it is falling in your load bearing axis. These are the complex ways which have been suggested. I will not go into that. At every level, how we change the entry point. I have told you only one entry point. This is how the straightforward trajectory is better than the anatomical trajectory, which is just goes along the pedicle. Now this is a very good article just for those of you who are interested to get into more details. Now all of us believe, and all the presenters till now have told you that you need to see your CT scan very well, and especially the dimensions of the pedicle has to be seen very well. If you talk to your orthopedic colleagues, they hardly see that, and they do all kinds of complex surgeries in the thoracic spine, especially the deformity surgeries. So why is that? Why are we are so much worried about the pedicle size, and they are not, and most of them are not. So there's this theory that the pedicle can expand, and does it really expand? Are there studies done to show that it expands? So CT measurement is standard, but yes, there is a possibility of pedicle expansion, especially in younger patients. So in one of the studies, Jostrom noted that when the screw diameter exceeded 65% of the pedicle outer diameter, that means your screw diameter is more than 50%, at least 60% of the outer diameter of your pedicle, only 15% of pedicles fractured, that is 85% of the pedicles expanded. So definitely pedicle expansion is a reality, and I'm sure we need to learn this from our orthopedic colleagues who do it routinely. And one tip which has been given and mentioned, and all of us should practice, that screw has to be put slowly. If you put the pedicle screw very fast, in a rapid manner, this expansion is hardly going to occur. But if you put it slowly, there's a good chance that pedicle is going to expand. A word about the D11, D12 pedicles. Remember that 11th and 12th ribs are called floating ribs because they attach only to the body. The transverse process at D11 and D12 is just straight, almost a straight transverse process which is pointing backwards. So if you see this CT image, that the pedicle at D12 is almost in continuity with the transverse process. So you can just go through the transverse process. It's a very important point. At D11 and D12, it is seen even better here. At D11 and D12, you can just go straight through the transverse process and you will be in the pedicle, and of course the angle at D11, D12 is hardly 0 to 5 degrees. So this is an anatomical point which is not very well described. And the pedicle at D11, D12 is just continuous with your transverse process. Fluoroscopy, I'll tell you two tips. One tip already has been told, that your AP view in the end, never forget to take an AP view towards the end, because AP is the safety view. You need to check your views before you drape the patient, rather than telling that the position is not good, patient is not good, my views are not coming well, I cannot use that, better not to use AP, let's not waste time in AP view. That is not the right way in my opinion. We need to have a good AP view from the beginning. You need to be in the OR when the patient is being positioned, and make sure you take AP view and make sure that it is good. And if it is not good, do whatever you can to get a good AP view. And you need to check this before you drape the patient. The next point which I want to make regarding fluoroscopy is that there are various points you can take the AP view, but the most important point we need to take the AP view is when you are entering your body. The junction of the pedicle and body is the most important point at which your AP view is going to help you. If at that point, that is the junction of pedicle and body, if your gear shift probe or your pin or your marker pin is at that point, and at that point you take a AP view and you can see the medial border of the pedicle quite clearly, separately from the gear shift probe or the marker pin, you will be safe. Once the gear shift probe has entered the body, AP view, utility of AP view is not much, except that the tip of the gear shift probe or your screw in your final check AP view should not be crossing the midline. Now, this was for the freehand technique, which is fluoroscopic assisted technique. Now, the second important technique which we are going to discuss is the laminoforaminotomy technique, which again, I think in the morning lecture on lateral mass screws and pedicle screws, it was clearly mentioned. So, it's a very elegant technique, and it can help you right from C2 to S1. You need to do a little bit of bone work here, as you can see this, and you need to get flush with this pedicle here. And then putting the pedicle view would be under vision. So a little bit of bony work on the upper lamina, lower lamina. Make sure you will see clearly the medial border of the pedicle as well as the superior border of the pedicle. And one tip which I can give you for this technique is that you need to stand on the contralateral side. I mean, to view this medial border of the pedicle, you should not be, suppose you are exposing left side pedicle, you should be standing on the right side of the patient. And then you will get a good view for visualization of this pedicle by the lamina foraminotomy. There will be, second point is there will be some venous bleeding, and there will be a root very close to the pedicle which we need to take care, but it will not be a problem. But again, you will have to change your position, because when you are putting the screw, remember in spine always we put the screw from the same side, very few exceptions. This technique is extremely useful at upper thoracic and C7 level, where AP view may not be available to you. In fact, AP view sometimes is available. In fact, lateral view is absolutely not possible there. So the last technique which we all need to discuss for pedicle screw is the extrapedicular or parapedicular, whatever, out in out in, whatever technique you want to call it, especially for the narrower D4 to D7 pedicles. In this, rather than getting a grip here, if the pedicle is very thin, we get a grip. You need to expose it more laterally, the transverse process, maybe a bit of rib here. You need to go through this joint, the costotransverse joint, enter in this loose space here, and then again this is a very important point here, as I told you, even for pedicle screws and even for parapedicular screws. When you enter this point for a parapedicular screw, you are lateral or just about to enter the pedicle. Your instrument tip should be close to the lateral border of the pedicle in the X-ray. So that is again a very important point to see in the X-ray. Since this pedicle screw begins more laterally, it can end up more medially also. So it may cross the midline in the AP view, so you need not bother about that. So this is the extrapedicular screw technique, which is a very useful technique in very small pedicle screws. This is just a graphical, pictorial example of this, showing you. Also, people use it, as one of our speakers told, that we use it in the for vertebroplasty and other procedures, percutaneous procedures. So that's all. Thank you so much for your patience.